All right. So coming back here again, now we're going to complete the next couple sections. So let me go ahead and take a look real quick how many more sections we have left. Okay, good. We're halfway there. We have 5 more sections left. So let's go ahead and go through it. So first things is going to be dealing with our purchases, which is heavily again weighted on our vendors, right? Because we have to buy things that our vendors can be anything that supplies us our orders for inventory. If they can even provide services or any minor mere expenses like your 1099 workers, they're going to be considered your vendors. So again, it's gonna be five. It's gonna be 10% of the exam, which is approximately 5 questions. So here, a student should know who should be on your vendor center. Pretty much anybody. So again, like I said, this could be any supplier, right? Any supplier, right? Any person that provides a service to you. And of course, lastly, your 1099 workers. Okay. Those typically would be your people that you would be in your vendor center, right? People who provide you services. So whether they're a contractor or maybe they're, interior designing your location, whatever it is, right? So typically those would be the people that is going to be your vendors, okay? How to navigate and use the vendor center. Pretty straightforward, right? If you're able to navigate your customer center, you would do the same thing with your vendor center, right? You have the list of all your vendors. You have the, okay, that's my customers list. Let's go. List of all of your vendors, right? You have all the transactions that you're able to do with them, right? You can either add a vendor, you can do new transactions, you can also do manage transactions. So anything that exists, whether you're recording a bill or an expense, is going to be, or even purchases of inventory, is going to be anything that's dealing with that. So pretty straightforward on how to navigate the vendor center. If you know how to navigate the customer, you should be okay with the vendor center. All right. The different workflows for making purchases. So, what this entails is entering and paying bills, or even writing a checks, or even using the credit cards, or even using a debit card. So I don't. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. Okay. So when we look at our little home page, right, the first thing it says that we need to understand the workflow. So when we make our purchases, right, or if we make an expense, we enter in our bills. And after we enter our bills, the next thing that we have to do is understand that we need to pay our bills. Pretty straightforward. Okay? Now, if you're making purchases and you pay at time of service or at time of, purchase of inventory, you can have the option to write a check. And you can also use a credit card, right? So in this case, using the write a checks window is pretty straightforward as far as doing that. And then, of course, if you're doing a credit card transaction, you would have to technically go down here and enter in a credit card transaction or a credit card charge. Okay, so that's the difference right here. You can't use a credit card transaction in your banking or your checking account, obviously. But the one thing I did not actually teach you, I think I briefly did, is let's say that you made a debit card charge, right? Ooh, I'm not gonna. I hit the check register. I'm gonna hit the write a checks window. So when you do a debit card transaction, right? The only difference is that instead of writing a check number, you're actually just gonna write a debit. You're just gonna write debit right here. Okay, that's the only difference. And what that does is if you are using your debit card, right, it's going to show up on your bank statement regardless. So this is how you compute it in QuickBooks to make sure that this matches your bank account. at all times by entering in a debit, or you write a check to the debit card, all right, directly from your checking account. So that's what you can do to utilize a debit card transaction.
Okay.
So let me go ahead and make sure I might make that note for you, so then you know what to do in other cases. So write a check, but in check number, put in debit. Okay. Oh, debit. Yeah, debit. All right. Okay, that's when you use your bank card. All right. Again, credit cards using the credit card charges. Writing checks is pretty straightforward, and entering a bill, and it being able to pay the bill. Now you also have to remember what are all the ways to be able to enter these transactions in. So again, we talked about entering a bill, right? There are 7 ways that you can enter a bill, and there are 8 ways that you can pay a bill. Okay. Write checks. There's 1, 2, 3 ways that you can write a check. All right. Credit card transactions. There's 1, 2 that I know of. Only 2. And then, of course, any way that you can write a check is going to be the same way that you write the debit card. So anyway, so either on the home page, the menu bar, or even on their respective account. So if you go to the chart of accounts, you can also be able to write a check there, or enter a credit card transaction using the register. Okay, so the next question here is how to record a transaction in purchase workflow. So again, I have to activate my inventory. So this section right here is asking how to utilize the workflow. So in this case, if I were to make a purchase order, right? All right. After I make a purchase order, what are my 2 options that I can choose to receive the items? Okay, so here I'm at my top of my purchase orders. What happens next? There are 2 ways that we could receive inventory.
Yeah, you receive the inventory, and then you enter your bills against the inventory.
Okay, now that's the workflow, but what are the conditions that you have to meet? Because again, if I click on receive inventory, what are my 2 options? What are my 2?
You receive it with a bill or without a bill.
Good. All right. So again, if that's the 2 options I have, so I'm going to go ahead and split this up. So let's say I receive the items, right? Receive items with a bill. That means it's automatically going to create a bill. Okay? But what happens if I receive items without a bill? What happens here?
You can add it to your inventory.
Okay, so once you receive it,
You can wait for it to. Oh shoot.
why don't we go ahead and try it? What happens when you receive inventory without a bill? What do I get?
You get an item receipt.
You get an item receipt. So, item receipt. Okay, once I get an item receipt, that's where you have to move on to the next part, which is to receive the inventory against No, hold on. Enter bill against inventory. That's when you have to take the inventory item receipts, all right? And what happens? You're going to select all your item receipts, and then you're going to essentially convert them into bills. So that's very important that you know that. So enter bill against inventory will take item receipts and convert into a bill. Okay. So in this case, if we choose the receive items with the bill, it automatically skips that enter bill against inventory. You don't need to do that because it's automatically entered in as a bill. But if you do choose the receive items without a bill, then that's where you have to use the enter bill against inventory and convert those item receipts into a bill. Okay, so that's the workflow here. I don't know why receipts is spelled wrong. There you go. Item receipts. Okay. Now the next question says, oh, are you finishing up?
Yeah, I got my note made.
Okay, perfect. So now the next question says, how and why to record a vendor credit. Let's talk about why first, and then we can talk about the how after. So why would you create a vendor credit?
You could do one as so if you're sending something back, like you're not accepting the goods.
Good. That's a reason why. Okay, so sending back items you don't want anymore. Okay, what else? Why would you ask for a vendor credit?
It's almost the same as if you had a customer asking for credit.
Yeah, absolutely. So what else can we do? We can use it for cancellations.
Yes.
We can also use it if the items that are damaged.
Right.
Or defected, damaged items. Oh, I spelled damaged wrong. Damaged items. Okay. Or if we have overshipment.
Overshipment. I was just getting ready to say overshipment.
Okay, good. Now, how do we actually create a vendor credit? In this case, we call these credit memos. How do we create a credit? Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, customer says credit memo. So this one is just vendor credit. How do we create a vendor credit? This is chapter 4 if you're looking. Chapter 4 was dealing with all vendors.
Oh, I should have thought of
You may have to flip all the way to the very back of the book, very back of the chapter. It's one of the last concepts that we learned.
I think it's after building checks.
I think so. I think it's after that. Yes. It's definitely before the reports that you can do on them. Okay. So I'll give you a hint.
It says you should record the transaction in the enter bills.
Yes. So when we click on it, enter bills, you have options at the very top of the window. You can either do a bill or you can actually do a credit. Okay, and then once you get this credit, you can apply it to an invoice, retain it as a future purchase, or just a manifold refund. Just like the three options that you can do, but most cases, when you receive this vendor credit, it just applies either to the invoice. Okay,
Okay.
so here, I'm gonna say how. So basically, any way you can enter a bill. Okay? And then top of the bill form. Top of enter bill. Oh my, I cannot type today. Enter bill window. Select credit. All right, good. Okay, now this one says how to complete the inventory workflow from purchase orders to payments. Okay, we just did that just now. This one, I'm gonna place this one up where it says up here. Just answered this. I guess they're essentially the same exact question. Yeah, these two are the same exact questions. I'm gonna probably have to get rid of that. But there you go. How to enter this. Good. Next question says how to set up, collect, and pay sales tax. Ooh. Let's talk about each one. How do you collect sales tax? Well, first, how do you set up sales tax?
You should have done that in your easy start.
Yep. Okay, so actually, no.
Not the easy, the detailed.
No. You do not set up your sales tax through your easy step interview just because the only question that you're asked here is do you charge sales tax? So remember, how do you set up sales tax? So I did teach this in chapter 3. How do I set up my sales tax? I'll give you a hint. Take a look at your homepage. How do you set up your sales tax?
Oh, manage sales tax.
Manage sales tax. Okay, so yes, you could do it this way. But then if you click on manage your sales tax,
It's asking you about the sales tax preferences. So,
so where do you find sales tax preferences?
in your preferences.
In your preferences, yes. So if you need if you need to set up your sales tax preferences, it's going to be under your edit preferences window, and you can go ahead and click on sales tax, and this is company, right? obviously the first question is, do you charge sales tax? And you select yes. So now this is actually how you set it up. Meaning, how are you going to charge your customers? Are you going to charge them based on items, or what is the item that you are intentionally having as that's taxable, right? You can have services, right? Services are non-taxable. Or if you have, if you're a grocery store, right? You need to set apart which items are going to be taxed and which items are going to be non-taxable. If they belong to if you're military or a veteran, right? You get special taxes or special discounts, right? And I believe if you are a senior citizen, you also get discounts off of that too. So make sure you set up those taxes and etc. etc. And then of course, obviously you can also set up how you're gonna pay your sales tax. Okay, so that is how you set up tax. How do you collect it?
You do that at the time when you give them their receipt. Basically it says cost of goods sold, and then sales tax should be there.
So in order to collect it, you do when at time of sale, you charge your customers right then and there. Okay, so edit menu bar. What did I say? Preferences,
Yes.
and then sales tax. Or you can do manage. Okay, so of course collecting is pretty straightforward. Collect, charge tax at time of sale to customers. Okay, how do I make payments to excuse me, how do I make payments, how do I pay my sales tax? How do I make payments to my sales tax? So I did teach this.
Yes.
Close though.
I'm looking. This is actually helping me a little bit. No, it's
That's okay. Keep going. One more over.
yes, thank you.
Not banking. The one more to the left.
Vendors.
Vendors.
Sales tax.
Sales tax. Boom. Pay sales tax. All right. And of course, if you click on manage sales tax on your home page, it will take you to the window where you can actually just pay sales tax. Okay. Pay sales tax.
Well, I just said that a minute ago. Why didn't I think about it?
It's okay because we were looking at how to set it up, so don't worry about that. All right, so again, those are the two ways that you can make payments to your sales tax, right? So we have manage sales tax on home page, and then we also have vendors menu bar. And sales tax, and then pay sales tax. Okay, So of course, obviously, you're going to be having to make sure that you have the agency. So again, nowadays, it's electronically transferred using the internet. So it's going to go from one bank account to another. So you have to set that up again when you set up your sales tax, like the item itself. It tells you who the person you're making a payment to. So when you set up a sales tax item, that's the person you're going to make payments to, and you're going to have to enter that vendor in first with all the account information for you to properly make sure that you send it to the correct person. Okay, so there's a little more to the I than what's taught in the book, because the book kind of pretty much fills in all the dots for you. You just connect the dots. Okay, what about bank reconciliations? Yes, this was all chapter 5. Okay. So a student should know how to conduct a bank reconciliation. So, what are the 2 things that you need to have?
You need to know which accounts you're doing. Just checking.
Okay, good. You need your checking account. Good. You need your checking account. That's correct. Checking account. But what else do you need to have in order to complete a reconciliation?
You need to have your. I want to say it's not. I want to say it's wrong. I'm going to say it wrong. Your month end. Your summary.
Okay, bank statement. Good. That I got exactly what you mean. The month, the year, the end of the month's bank statement. That's correct. All right. And then, of course, how do you conduct the reconciliation? Let's talk about the how.
Okay, go to the home page.
Home page. Okay. What about the home page?
So, go to the home page. Go to banking, and you can hit reconcile.
Good.
That seems to be too easy. Is that?
Nope, that's correct. That's one way. And then if you go up to banking on the menu bar, you can reconcile there. Those are the only 2 ways that you can do it.
Okay.
All right. So good. If I click on, how come I keep clicking and nothing's going? So once I click on that, right, I get a window, the reconciliation window. I have to put the proper date. I need to also ensure 2 things. I need to ensure that I'm in the correct account that I'm reconciling, and I need to make sure that the beginning balances match on both the bank statement and the checking account. Okay? The ending balance is your goal, is what you need to get to. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and type in those rules real quick. So how you could do reconcile on the home page. All right, or you can reconcile or reconcile on banking menu. Okay. Now, guys, cool. A few rules that you have to have is make sure you are reconciling the correct account, and check to see if beginning balances match on both bank statement and checking account. Okay. And then everything else is pretty straightforward, right? Enter in your service fees, enter your interest, and then once you hit that reconcile button, okay, all right, okay. Once you hit the reconcile button, what you're going to do is you're going to compare all the checks, all the deposits, and anything else, and you're going to make sure that the amount or the balance in difference is 0. That's the main goal. All right? Okay, so I'm not going to do it because that was chapter 5. Okay? Okay.
Yep, still making a note. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I guess I can add it in here. And what did I say? Oh, end goal. So you're going to check off all checks that cleared and all deposits. Okay, wait, I'm just gonna, all checks that cleared and all deposits. End goal is to okay. All right. So that was that. You're doing good so far. All right, payroll. It's gonna be a small section, so it's about 2%. So maybe 12%. Excuse me, I missed that one. 12%. So that means it's a huge part. Like I said, sales and entering bills is going to be the huge part of the QuickBooks, because those are the major transactions that you can deal with when you're dealing with QuickBooks, right? So here, it could be anywhere from 6 questions. So let's go ahead. A student should know: 1, the difference between the payroll services and what is available in QuickBooks. So again, this was chapter 10/11. I showed you what were the 3 options that you can choose for payroll services.
Basic, enhanced, and full service.
Good. Basic, enhanced, and full service. So basic, enhanced, good. All right, make sure you know at least a brief introduction. So again, basic, again, it allows you to process payroll, and it allows you to pay your liabilities. Enhanced allows you to also file the forms and etc., and helps you with the W2, excuse me, to your employees. So make sure that you understand the difference. And of course, the more employees that you have, you definitely want to go increase on the payroll services. Right? So again, how to set up payroll. So including the whole employees, the federal, and all, setting up all of those things. So again, we have what's called the payroll setup wizard. So so here it says right here, how to set up employees' earnings and sick pay and whatnot. First off, let's go and talk about how we can so it says right here, how to set up. Okay, so again, let's talk about how to initiate that payroll wizard. How do we do that? Do you remember? There's only one way.
We gotta have the setup checklist.
Okay, good. Okay.
So you want to gather all your information.
Yes. So in chapter 10, I believe it's on that one page. Good. So 10 steps for payroll setup. Page, let's see what page that is on, actually. I am
292.
292. Okay, I'm going to take your word for it.
I just flipped to it.
Perfect. Page 292. Good. All right. Now, how do we initiate the payroll setup wizard? How do we go through that whole setup window?
I think you want to go to chart accounts.
Not.
Go to employees.
Go to employees. Good. All right, employees. What's after that?
Go to drop down to payroll setup.
Payroll setup. That's exactly how you do it. Okay, that's how you initiate the payroll setup window. Okay, so good. And actually, I did not mention this last time, but if you have new items or new things that you're adding into the payroll, you can always revisit the payroll setup, and it will walk you through everything again. And like you could go ahead and fast forward because you already filled the information before. So basically, what it is, it helps you tie in everything. So let's say I stop using or I offer medical insurance now, or I offer extra benefits or fringe benefits, right? I can tack those on and set it up through the payroll setup again. So once you complete the interview, that doesn't mean you can't go back to it. You can always go back to it. So that's one thing I forgot to mention. So again, so you're going to go to employees menu, and then you're going to go ahead and click set up payroll. Okay. So again, with the 10 steps, it's going to include making sure that you set up your payroll accounts first, then your payroll items. All right. But then again, if you go through the interview, you're essentially creating those payroll items as you go through the interview. Okay, so just a little FYI. All right. How and why to set up payroll schedules?
Well, you want to make sure your people are paid.
Exactly. So to pay. Okay, so payroll schedules. Okay, what is the, okay, so you want to make sure that you pay your employees on time, but what is the actual reason why you would use a payroll scheduler?
Oh, so that you know when to do it.
Okay.
Whether they're set up on a bi-weekly or bi-monthly.
Good. Okay. To pay employees with different pay schedules. Okay, I'm going to put IE bi-weekly, comma, semi-monthly, right? You can have someone who gets okay, semi-monthly, weekly, whatever, daily, whoever your people are. Okay, good. How to run payroll. Okay, that's okay. How to run payroll. So I showed you both ways, whether you can either use the payroll services, or I also taught you how to do manual payroll. So how do you run payroll? Let's talk about the payroll services, and then let's talk about manual payroll. Okay, let's switch it around. Okay, if we use payroll services using Intuit or whatever they offer, right? How do we pay our employees?
By checks.
Okay, but my question is, how do you run the payroll? Like, how do you know how much to pay? If you're gonna use a check, right, to pay your employees, how do you know how much tax to withhold? How do you know how much, things to deduct from their paycheck. How do you run that process? How do you pay your employees?
Oh, you have to manage payroll items.
No. Okay, so let's look at our window. Let's look at our window, okay? On the home page.
Yeah, okay.
How do you pay your employees?
It just says pay employees.
There you go.
Wow.
So, yes.
Too simple. I'm overthinking it.
Yeah, so you just select the option to pay your employees. Now, what's different between using a payroll service and doing manual payroll?
Payroll service, they have it all for you, including the tax tables and everything else.
Exactly.
You do everything on your own.
Exactly. So that's the difference. So here is automated. So automated taxes are calculated. Okay, where the manual payroll, we have to go through. We actually have to calculate the taxes ourselves. So calculate taxes ourselves. And we have to use tax tables. Okay, to figure out the taxes. Okay, and again, how about paying liabilities?
You can do it through the employees. You can do, well, payroll taxes and liabilities, but just go over payroll liabilities.
And this one, both of them, because if we set up the accounts already, they're pretty straightforward. You just hit the pay liabilities button, and it should have the calculated amount already. Calculated amount. Oh, so automatically calculate payments. So all you have to do is just click the pay button. So this is going to be the same down below, because if you set up the account, you don't need to, actually no, you do. Actually, no. Because by you calculating it through manual payroll, it should automatically be done. But however, in this case, I did not teach you this part of manual payroll, just because when you do, for in this case, so you actually have to calculate by creating a journal. So this one is going to be something I didn't teach you. So you have to create a general journal entry to include the company to calculate payroll, a company taxes, company payroll taxes, right? You need to initiate that. So for the manual payroll, right, there's no system where we can actually enter in our responsibility. Actually, wait, there is. Underpay. Oh my gosh, yes. Never mind. This is different, sorry. So when you actually do manual payroll, right, when we talked about that, there's that little window where we can also enter in our amount of liabilities that we have to pay for having this employee. So then again, yes, I was right in the first time. When you do manual payroll, it's pretty straightforward. You don't need to enter in anything else. It's already pre-calculated and it's already automatically ready for you. All you have to do is click pay liabilities and click on the check that you're going to make a payment to, or electronic funds transfer, whatever it is, okay? How and why to pay payroll liabilities. Okay. Okay, so here this is the information that goes down here. Okay, so for both pay liabilities, right, they're both automated. So in this case, I'm going to write a note here that both both payroll services, and manual payroll. Okay, so remember, you just click the pay liabilities and it should be automatically calculated, and all you have to do is just click on the check or whatever the electronic funds, the electronic federal tax system, payroll system, right? You're going to send either a check to there or, do an EFT and send it to them. So it's pretty straightforward when you pay those liabilities. Now, the question is why? Why do you need to pay those liabilities? That's
required by law.
Yes, it is a requirement by law. Okay, required by law when you, and it's also required by law, and it's companies responsibility to pay for having employees. Okay. All right, next question says how to prepare a payroll form. Okay, so form 941 W-2 form in QuickBooks. So again, because what's funny, this question shouldn't have been asked because they don't technically teach it to you, because it's impossible, because when you have the payroll services, right, they don't show you, because they tell you that you need to have the upgraded version of the payroll services. But it's pretty straightforward, right? It's basically submitting a form to the IRS, making sure that you make your payments for whatever federal taxes you're paying for, right? So either the 940 or the 941 is either you're making payments to the federal income tax withholdings or you're paying into the Social Security or Medicare. So usually those forms should be easy to fill. But again, in QuickBooks, if you pay for the higher services, they help you fill out the form a lot easier. But if you're doing it manually, it's pretty straightforward. Just go to irs.gov, download the form 940 and 941, and just follow the instructions. So in this case, how to prepare the payroll form, it won't, technically QuickBooks does not allow you unless you have the higher payroll services. So in this case, let's just hope you don't get asked this question. but the question here is pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah.
Follow the instructions on the form that you get on irs.gov, because QuickBooks can't do it for you unless you have a paid higher services. So in this case,
I also remember you talking about that form, was it IT 15 IT?
okay, that's publication 15T. That is the tax tables. And publication 15 is anything that has to do with employees. So it gives you all the guidelines on how to pay them, what you can pay, determining what employees are validated. It even gives you like a pretty good insight. So that's actually the publication 15 is just what do you do when you have employees, and it gives you all the guidelines. So there's actually rules too. If you, it's really interesting about when you read it up. Like if a family member is an employee, there's special taxes that you have to put on them, because technically, yeah. Anyways, so 941. Again, I'm gonna make a note here. Only available for enhanced payroll services. Okay, or you could do find form on irs.gov. Okay, but let's say you do have the enhanced payroll services. It's pretty straightforward. You just click file forms, and that's it. So, okay, so I'm just gonna make a note here. So you go to either file forms on homepage or file forms in payroll center. Right. Okay, next is to keep track of time and use it for payroll for invoicing customers. So we talked about this in chapter 9, when we bill our customers for expenses. So I'm going to break this into two. So how do you keep track of time? Or how do you use the enter time?
You can use time tracking.
Mm-hmm.
You go to like the company.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
Time and expense preferences.
Yes. Yes. Good. All right. And that's going to give you this little icon right here to enter time. So how do you use this feature right here?
Activate timesheets.
Mm-hmm. So basically, when you click on it, right, if you use this, it will give you basically a timesheet. So it gives you the items that you're trying to, or the the service item or whatever it is, and you're gonna make sure that you initiate what kind of payroll item that you're getting paid based on. You can clock in your hours, and that's pretty much it. So I'm going to go ahead and just say it's essentially a timesheet. So entering time is entering a timesheet. Okay, that's what it is. That's how you keep track of time. Now, how do you record that and make it billable for another for a customer? How do you pass along that? What do you call that?
You're making it billable.
Correct. There you go. So you enter in service, right? And mark. Well, yeah, you mark billable to the specified customer. Good. Right? And in the timesheet. Okay, good. All right, now next topic is going to be reports. All right, so it's about 16% of the exam, so approximately 8 questions. Wow. Oh yeah, but that's because every single chapter there's reports. So, all right. So how and why do you use Report Center? Let's talk about the how, and then we'll talk about the why. So how do you use the Report Center?
We can go up to the reports on the menu bar.
Yes, reports on the menu bar, and you can view the Report Center there, or you can go on the icon bar and go straight to the Report Center. So let's go ahead and click on this and take me to the Report Center. So, what's so good about the Report Center?
Well, it gives you all the ones you want, like your memorized reports and your scheduled reports.
Mm-hmm.
Balance sheet. Receivables.
Good.
Financial reports.
So that would be the why. Why? Well, if you remember what I discussed about reports, why is it so important to run these reports? What is the ultimate goal?
Well, it's to give an overview of what management might want to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
A specific parts just for like sales and time and mileage.
Okay.
And
Okay. All right, good. So hold on. How and why to use the report center. So how is pretty straightforward, right? However you want to view it. So I'm going to say all reports with with details, right? If you can, how you view it. So how to use it is for all reports with details. Why? So you said to help with management. Okay, now I'm gonna, this is what I mention all the time. The most important thing about a report is what is the ultimate question that you're trying to answer? Because if you're trying to, if you're a sales representative, what would you think your question is going to be about the question about the company?
if you're just in sales, you're probably looking at what your commissions might be for something.
Good. How many items did you sell? Which item is most popular, or which item sells more? Or if anything, I can even check on sale by customer. Which customer is making the more sales? Right? I can run all those reports. I can even run a report on sales based on class, right? And see which location is actually more profitable on sales. So good. So the main idea here is that you're trying to answer a question. Okay, so I'm going to make a note here. Trying to answer a specific question about the company. Now, there are two types of reports. Do you remember what they are?
Jeez. Um, for some reason, I want to say profit and loss.
Okay, that is an example of one of the types of reports. There are specifically two types of reports. Okay? So you kind of answered the why in this one. So how can what kind of reports can management people use?
You can use expense reports, they can use time reports.
Yes, but okay, so that is a type. That's an example of a type of report. Okay, so in this case, I'll go ahead and give it to you. You have accounting reports,
Oh,
business management.
I can't even think of it.
It's okay, don't worry. Business management reports. So again, so the business management reports, right, is going to be anything that's dealing with your sales, your payroll, your vendors, your accounts receivable, accounts payable. All of those are going to be more towards a business management because they can make projections or make ideas off of that. Your more accounting reports are going to be dealing with anything that has to do with your accounts, specific accounts. So, for example, the profit and loss, or which is also known as your income statement, the statement of cash flows, your balance sheets, your trial balance, your general ledger. All of those are going to be dealing with your accounts, specifically your accounts. Where everything else, right, a sales. If you look at sales, right, that's based on your items. Okay, so anything that has to do with your items or people, right, the information that you can get from your people. Okay, so anything other than accounts. Accounts is specified by the accounting reports. Okay, so again, I will go ahead and make a little note here that it is for the P&L. Excuse me, balance sheet. Trial balance. Okay. And here, this would be more of your sales, your payroll, contact lists. Okay. So anything that the business can use to, what they want to do with that or information. Okay. How do you customize reports?
Reports. Menu bar. Drop down to custom reports.
Okay, you can do that. That's like if you're looking for a specific piece of information, but this is more along the lines where we're looking at a pre-existing report and we want to customize it to be able to see a particular piece of information. So how do you customize a report in this kind of sense? Okay, so let me see. Let's do sales. Okay. Or sales. Let's do sales by class for this example, okay? If I want to look at a particular piece of information, right? Okay, I can't find this the sales by class. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and take an example, just a random example. Okay, so here I pulled up this, and I'm going to make sure that, so this is how I can customize it, right? Oop, I lost my window. So this is how I can customize this exact report. So let me just run a different one. Okay. I can go ahead and by selecting all, that's going to be a customization because I want it to show all my details. If I click custom, right? Let's say if I click customize report, let's say I want to customize it by showing me specific columns. What if I don't need this extra column, right? What if I want to change the font? What if I want to change the filters on there? So the filters are going to be what you can collapse, right? As far as that. But this is how you customize it, right? You're able to take a report that's already pre-existing and you can customize it to a point where you can make it usable or answer the specified question, right? If I'm looking at my sales report, right? What if I want sales report for just this month? Then I can go ahead and toggle that. Okay, so that's how you customize your report, is by clicking that top button right here, customize report.
You do that in the reports window?
You have to do it in the specific window, yes. Like you have to actually run the report first, and
Okay.
then
I didn't say that right. You went into reports on the menu bar, right?
no, this is from the report center. I just picked a random report.
Okay.
So you have to conduct the report first before you can customize it. That's the question I'm asking here.
Okay.
All right, not actually creating a report from scratch. Okay.
Okay.
So that's the difference between that question. The question is asking you how do you create a customized report, which is by taking a pre-existing one and customizing it by choosing the date, of course. That's customizing it. Or choosing what you want to view on the report. Like let's say this right here gives me the month, it gives me all the dates and everything and the types. I don't need all that information. What if I just only want just the date and what I sold? Then I can go ahead and by clicking customize report, I can hide or remove the columns that I don't need to see, and I can change the font and colors of my report to make it look accordingly to my company colors. I can change the size and change the font, whatever it is you can, right? That's what I'm talking about by customizing a report, not creating one from scratch. So in this case, we're going to go, you need to run the report first. Run report first. Then click at top of report to wait. Then click customize. Reports at top of the report. Okay. And that allows you to customize columns. Customize columns, fonts, / colors, whatever you want to do, okay? All right, so what is the basic question that each report answers? So again, this is what I was talking about, that each report, right? The reason why we run reports is because it asks a question, it answers a question, okay? Next one is how and why to send reports to Excel, or how to update and refresh Excel reports from the QuickBooks. So again, why is it what? That's pretty straightforward, right? Let's go answer how. How do we create reports and export them to Excel? Okay. How do we export our reports in Excel?
How do we do it from Excel?
No, how do we, okay, so we're in QuickBooks right now, right?
Right.
How do I export it to an Excel file? So go ahead and take a look at my screen real quick.
Okay.
All right, so here I have a report that's already open. Okay, so the question is, how do I take this report and export it to Excel?
Go up to the top of your window there where it says Excel.
Yes, okay, good. All right, so how, top of the report, Excel. All right, now what's so important about being able to create this report on Excel?
The example you were showing me the other day, so you could figure out how much you can.
Mm-hmm. But other things that you can do is when you export it to Excel, you're able to add extra things, or customize it to a point where that QuickBooks can't do, because it's kind of standardized, I would say. So, for example, if you need to customize or place it in certain ways, Excel is able to do that. Plus, it makes it easier to send your files across, via email, because again, it's like it's in a format where it's easy for everyone to open, because everyone has Excel, or everyone has some form of Microsoft Office, right? It's widely used by everybody. So again, why to make any additional changes? It makes it easier to send to others. Okay. How and why to process multiple reports? That's pretty straightforward, right?
I think so.
Okay. How and why to memorize reports? Ooh, that's a good one. Why? How do we memorize reports, and why do we do it?
We do it to. It's So we can use it more than once.
Good. Okay, use it more than once. Okay. Another thing too is if we customize a report, right, and we memorize it, the next time we run that report, that exact report, it's going to save all of the customization changes that we've had instead of going back to the standard and have to manually change it. So in this case, if you customize it, the report, okay, it will save the changes and create a report using the changes. Okay. Now, how do you memorize a report? So again, if you're on my window, if you're looking at my screen right now, how?
Go up to your menu bar for that, not menu bar, your group there for memorize.
All right. Of course, you should do that after you make the changes.
Oh yeah, sorry. You've got to make all your changes first.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to customize the report even more.
And then where can I find those memorized reports after I've saved it?
If you saved it, it should be in reports.
Yes, under your reports, under what tab?
The reports tab.
Not the reports tab. So when you go to the the report center, right? What tabs do you have at the top?
Memorized.
Good. Yeah, the memorized reports tab. Right. So that's how you locate it. So let's see. How is you go top after customizing custom. Oh, I forgot the I here. Customizing. After customizing, top of report, click on memorize to save changes, and then to locate is going to be reports center under the memorized reports tab. Good. All right. Okay, let's see. We're coming up. Oh no, we still got 30 minutes. Okay, let's go. Let's go ahead and push through. We're almost done. We got 2 more sections. Okay.
Go back up that to the reports for just a second. I want to make sure I have the right stuff.
Oh, I'm gonna post this on the Google Classroom so you can download it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so in case, again, I'll make it as a Word document. So if you have extra notes that you want to type in here, do it.
Okay.
So yes, so you can make notes for yourself, and then when you download this, you can also use this as a study guide, but also, add your own notes in here. If something doesn't make sense, or the way that I word it, because I'm doing it on a time crunch. So if something doesn't make sense, go ahead and modify it and fix it so you can use it to your advantage. Okay. So here we got basic accounting. So this one we don't need to do navigations. So again, 10% of the exam, so it's about 5 questions. So a student should know, okay, what the basic financial statements are and have the basic understanding of each form or what they mean. Okay, so what were the 3 financial statements? What were the 3 financial statements that you had to know? The most important ones. The 3 financial statements.
Profit and loss.
Good. Profit and loss. Okay, pretty straightforward, right? How do you understand the profit and loss report?
It should tell you where all your liabilities, your expenses, well, that's
Ooh, no, liabilities and expenses are not the same thing.
Yeah, you are correct. Um,
Profit and loss. Pretty straightforward. Think about it. Why would you run a profit and loss?
so you can know your financial standing.
Good. Or other words, to know your profitability. Is your company profitable? Profitable. Profitability. There you go. Profitability, right? To see if you are if all your revenues, like all the income that you've collected, is and you subtract all of your expenses. At the end of the day, are you making money or are you losing money? That's the question here. Are you profitable or are you not profitable? So good. What's the second one?
Your assets.
Okay, assets, but what do we call that? You're really good.
Uh,
I'll go ahead and give you another hint here. Go to your reports. Go to your reports. Click on company and financials. And what are the three major items that you see there?
your income.
Okay, good. We already got the income.
Okay.
Okay, so company and financials. What are the three things that you actually see under company and financials? I'm not.
Income, expenses,
Okay, so that's going to
balance sheet,
be your balance sheet. And what's the last one?
your net worth,
Keep going.
your cash flow.
Your cash flow. So, again, those are the three most important ones that you need to know because ultimately, when you are a business or a company, you need to produce these statements for either for the public or for the private sector. All right, these three important things allow you to show profitability. It shows you what your outstanding assets, liabilities, and equity are, which is the your net worth. And then lastly, it also shows how much cash is actually flowing into your company and how much cash are you actually is flowing out of your company. So that's very important that you know that. So balance sheet, okay, is going to reflect the accounting equation, which is your assets are equal to your total liabilities plus your equity. Okay, and then lastly, the statement of cash flows. Okay, determines cash flowing into the company and cash flowing out from a company, from the company. Okay, those are the three most important things, and you have, as a business, no matter where you are in point in time, you have to create this as a standpoint to measure profitability, measure how much your outstanding assets are, as well as knowing how much cash is actually going into your company. So those are the three most important ones, and these are all accounting types of reports. Okay. What's the difference between cash and accrual?
Well, your cash shows you actually what's your checking and all that kind of stuff. But your accrual reports are what show you payments that need to be made or bills.
Good, good. So in this case, cash is going to be, I'm trying to word it in a way. So cash is when you actually receive cash. You actually receive cash, or actually pay bills with cash, where accrual basis, right, you have accounts receivable and you have accounts payable, right? You're interpreting your revenues and your expenses as if they've already been done, regardless of making a payment or not. So whether you paid in cash or not, it's going to be something that you're accounting for. So the accrual basis is okay. The definition for that is going to be, you're going to recognize. So I'm going to go put it down here. Recognize revenue or income when it is earned. So when you sell an item, right, or you provide a service, once that transaction has been completed, whether you received money for it or not, is something what you're going to record. All right, without having the idea of having cash. Where and expenses, right? And record expenses when it has been incurred. Okay, meaning when you record expenses the day that you either receive a bill or the day that you that the job has been completed for you. So in this case, we recognize that when we enter in a bill, right? Regardless of whether we paid for it or not, the job has been done. It's been completed. So therefore, we either pay it now or we don't, or we can pay it later with a bill. So that's good to know that this is very basic accounting. Okay?
Do you understand the concept of this here?
I think so.
Okay. So as long as you can understand.
This giving me a little bit of problems, so I'm
Okay, you own a business. You're on a cash basis. You sell me a product. I come back next week and pay you. When do you record it? Now or next week?
record it. If it's cash, I'm recording now.
No.
No.
Next week when you get the cash. You follow the cash. Record cash when you receive it. Not when you earn it, but when you receive it.
Mm-hmm. So again,
You owe me money because I worked this week. But payday's not till next Friday. When do you record my payment? That's a cash business.
Okay.
When do you record it?
The next week.
Yeah, Friday. Accrual. You sell me a product today. I'm going to pay you next week. When do you record the income?
Now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for you this week, but payday's not till next Friday. When do you record my payroll?
Next week.
This week. You owe it to me now.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, it's because this I've already completed the service for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So you see the difference between cash and accrual?
Yeah, I believe so.
Cash follows cash. You don't record anything until you actually see money in your hand or money leaves your hand. Accrual, when it's owed to you or when you owe somebody else.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Now, next section is how and why to set a closing date. So let's talk about the how. How do you set a closing date? So we talked about this yesterday.
When you're reconciling.
What do you mean by reconciling?
You're setting a closing when you're doing your financials.
Good. Good. When you completed everything in your financials, right? We talked about that whole, it was, I think, 10 steps to close out your accounting period, right? So let's go ahead and discuss this. How do we set that closing date? Do you remember? What are those air quotes? Yes. So, actually, sorry, that's the why. But first, let's talk about the how. How do we set that closing date?
Well, you set it to whether you're when you're going to be doing your books, whether it's monthly or quarterly.
Good. When you reach the end of the period, okay? But now I'm talking about a navigation question. So, on QuickBooks, how do you set the closing date? Do you remember? Okay. Okay. Not file.
I don't have it.
Okay, so there's two ways to do it, right? You can either go to your company menu and you can set the closing date. But once you click that, it's ultimately going to take you to the edit preferences window to set the closing date. Okay, so again, here you go, set closing date. If I click on this, it's going to just take me to my edit preferences, to the accounting section, and I click on set closing date. And what does that do? What does closing the or setting the closing date do?
That's the date in which nothing can be entered.
Correct. And then the air quotes I'm talking about is you're locking the data, right? So you're creating a password so that no one has access to make changes after you've closed the date. So how is going to be either company menu, set closing date, or edit preferences. All right, it's going to be under accounting, and then it's going to be company, right? It's a company preference, and it says set date / password, right? And again, the Y is to lock up, and then the Y is to lock up the data file to prevent someone from making changes. Okay. Right. All right, we got 10 more minutes, so I'm going to leave the last section for tomorrow so we can go over that, and then we'll try to go as much through chapter 14 afterwards. Okay, so how to enter a journal entry, all right, when asked to do so. So do you remember this one? It's okay. Remember, there's only one way you can enter in a general journal entry. How do I do that? It's okay. All right. I'll give you a hint since we're almost there. We're almost there. All right, I just want to go through this last question and then we'll do everything else tomorrow. So in this case, if you remember from yesterday, the only way to do it is going through the company menu bar. Okay? And what do you see on the company menu bar? Towards the bottom. Company menu bar. Towards the bottom.
There it is. Make journal. I'm just looking for journal entries.
Mm.
Okay, make journal entries.
Okay, so again, yes, good. Make journal entries. Okay, and we talked about why we make journal entries for. So why?
Yeah, there's two more accounts involved in this tool. It's to do adjust the balances.
Good. Adjust balances. Okay. So for adjustments, good. All right. We can use it to recategorize.
Categorize classes and count from one to another.
Good. Recategorize classes slash accounts. We can use it for non-cash transactions, as I mentioned before. So an example would be depreciation, right? When you have fixed assets. I don't expect you to know this, but it is definitely something you may have to read upon. So depreciation or even bad debt expense. Okay. And then you can also use it for. All right. It's on that one page.
The owner's draw.
Oh yes, good. Thank you. So owner's draw. Okay, good. All right, good. So again, those are the typical things that you would technically use it for, or even the last thing that it's a hidden one, right? For when you're doing open balances when you start up your company. When creating a new company file. All right. So good. So again, you have that whole section on chapter 13, right? You have that little paragraph that gives you the reasons why you would use a general journal entry. So make sure you go ahead and take a look at that page. So again, now it is 5 o'clock. I understand we are getting a little tired here, so let's go ahead and call it a day, and we'll go ahead and finish up the rest of the questions tomorrow and dive into as much as chapter 14 as possible. Okay.
Okay.
All right then. So if you don't have any other extra questions, good job.